Your peace world is the love king of R&B, Raheem Devon, and this is the Q Chat. Keep it locked right here.
Welcome to the Q Chat, the exclusive interview series brought to you by Geaux Queen magazine, the self-love conversation with queens. Here, we shine a spotlight on the incredible journeys of inspiring women.
She's a queen about a business, working hard on a mission, and her purpose-driven crown on never tilted. Go Queen. Go Queen. Go Queen.
So thank you guys for joining another episode of the Q Chat. Today I have the beautiful pleasure of speaking to Miss Elyscia Jefferson. And you guys, if you are a fan of The Voice on NBC, you may recognize Elyscia. She was a contestant. She was on Team Reba, and she did a fantastic version of Michael Jackson's PYT. There's so much I want to talk to her about. We're going to go over her beginnings and just hear a lot of the things that inspire her. But I'm just ready to get started. I'm so excited. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your platform. I feel absolutely honored to be here. And yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. As I told Elyscia, we're matching, so we got that red vibe going. So we're really excited about that, of course. So I wanted to start off, and also I wanted to thank you first for people that will be tuning into this. Elyscia is also featured on our digital version of our magazine, and she'll also be in our upcoming print version. So you can learn some more about her there as well. But I want to start and asking you about some of your early beginnings, and just, I know that you started singing as a child. So just tell us your first early beginnings and when you fell in love with music and singing.
When I first fell in love with music, okay, I feel like music has been in my life since I could remember. I mean, growing up, I was always around it. My dad is a musician, also a producer. So I would hear him playing piano 24/7. We also had a studio in our basement. So he used to produce a lot. I mean, artists coming in and out of our house, like whether it's 3 a.m. at night or it's 11 a.m. in the morning, all you heard was music, jumping, jumping, jumping. So I grew up around music. Also, growing up in church, I think a lot of people can relate to this. Growing up in church, just being around music all the time with that. My grandfather was a pastor, so he owned his own church. And, every Sunday we was up in that church, no matter what time it was, we was on time, we was in church. And, just growing up around that music as well, I feel like really impacted me. So my journey with music started, I want to say, when I was like maybe since out the womb, since I was born, I've always been around it. And that's where it started.
What's going on, everybody? This is Jamar Langley, and you're now tuned into the Q Chat with Geaux Queen, the beautiful.
Oh, wow. So I know a lot of singers definitely do have that church background for sure. What were some of your favorite artists that influenced you? Because I know, like, we're going to talk about that later on, but I know, like, you have, like, an old school vibe, like you cover some people, some legends. So what type of music, did you listen to growing up, especially having the dad that had that musical knowledge? What were some of the people that you loved listening to growing up, and who were some of your favorite artists to listen to and also emulate as well?
So my favorite artist, and honestly what I've grown up listening to, is definitely like that old school all day. Growing up around my dad, he had to also learn a lot of music. So all I would hear throughout the house is just like all those 90s songs, 80s, Michael Jackson, Prince, um, just a whole variety of just that old school feel good music. And I absolutely just fell in love with it since I was a kid. I never thought it was too old, and I was never thought like, what is this, what am I listening to? It just kind of clicked for me. Also growing up around my grandfather, he had a record player. And for some reason, it was so interesting to me. I don't know why that CD and just it being on a vinyl was so cool to me as a kid. But I used to try and go downstairs, sneak downstairs, sneak and steal some of his stuff and just play it. Like it was super interesting to me. So that's kind of how I got my start with old school music, just being around my dad and being around my grandfather, playing those old records, Michael Jackson. That's actually the first vinyl that I've heard was Michael Jackson. So it's funny that we're in the PYT era, that whole thing. But yeah, honestly, that old school stuff definitely comes from my grandfather being a lover of music and my dad, being a lover of music and having to learn all those old school songs and, just playing them around the house. So that's where I got that old school soul a little bit. Everybody tells me I'm a little old soul, but that's where I get it from. And my favorite artist, you know what? And this is funny because everybody says I look like her. My favorite artist is definitely Brandy. I love me some Brandy. And I give that to my dad once again because he told me when I was about, I want to say like maybe 6 or 7, he told me to learn a Brandy song. And at first I was like, who is Brandy and what is this? And I don't know what's going on. But he was like, listen, study Brandy, trust me, learn some of her music and because he was saying we had somewhat of a similar tone. So I did it, and I've just fallen in love with Brandy ever since. So, yeah, that's one of my favorite artists, and of course, like all the R&B artists, that's like a whole different thing. But Brandy's my favorite artist. Yeah.
Well, I'm with you with Brandy. I love Brandy. Brandy is really one of my favorite singers. I really do believe when they say they refer to her as the vocal Bible, her voice is just so it's indescribable, honestly. And I really she truly is the vocal Bible in my perspective, just from a musical fan, just the way she stacks. And it's like, oh my God. And I just love her. I just remember when she came out with her first album, I was in high school, but then the progression of everything, her last album, I fell in love with. So I definitely agree with you on Brandy. She's just, her voice is, I just feel like they give her props, but I feel like she's even with the props she gets, she's still underrated. Because I
Yeah.
don't think people really understand how truly her voice is just phenomenal. So as much credit that she still gets as the vocal Bible, I still feel like people don't truly understand her voice.
They don't get it. They don't understand. We understand. But her impact and just how crazy, incredibly talented she is. Some people they don't comprehend it, but we
Right.
know. We
Right.
know.
And then one thing about Brandy too, she just the fact that when she came out, everybody loved I Wanna Be Down. That was the first hit that I was like, wait a minute. Then she was this cute little black girl with the braids. And really people from a cultural standpoint don't understand. You didn't really see a lot of that. And just her impact style alone, everybody was trying to rock those braids at that point. Then for her to have her TV show Moesha, that was a big deal. They didn't have any other young black women with a TV show like that. So her impact, like I said, I love Brandy. I can go on and on about her, but just her impact, she just deserves all her flowers, I love Brandy so much. So I can go on and on about her.
Seriously, same. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. She is just that lady and that lady for black women and black young women like me. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We love you, Brandy. We love you.
Yes, we love you. If you ever see this, we love you so much. So I want to get into The Voice, obviously. Before I ask you some questions about it, can you describe your musical style? Because one thing that I really love, that audition that you did alone, I kept rewatching it because first of all, I love PYT, but the way you sung it, I was just like, whoa. I was just like, wait a minute, she did that. Because it was just so I was like, whoa, just the way your voice with it and everything. I was like, oh my God, I just love how she sung this. And I'm like, I don't think anybody would have thought to do that. I just thought it was really good. So can you describe your musical style and also leading up to The Voice, what made you audition, and also what made you decide to audition with that song?
Oh, okay. So I would definitely describe my musical sound as like very R&B, but also kind of popish. Like I try to like I don't know, I try to make sure whenever I sing it's very smooth and feel good. That's another thing like why we kind of, made the intro like that, how we switched it up is because it's like now what's going to get the audience to feel? What feels good? What's, different as well. And I feel like that's how I always try to approach my singing and my style of singing. It's just that really feel good moments, those feel good, like, I don't know, choices of how I sing. And yeah, and also make it fun. So that's another thing. That's also why I chose PYT. I really wanted a fun song and something that really, I'm big on feeling. So something that really the people to feel and connect, and I love connecting with people. I love connecting with an audience and just, I just love the feeling, a good feeling in general, because that's what everybody needs. So that's why I chose PYT. I just felt like people are gonna feel good if they hear this.
Yeah.
And no, I'm gonna feel good if I'm singing it on stage. And yeah, so that's why I chose PYT. And I hope that explains, my style as well. So yeah.
Yeah. It was such a clean cover of it. I was like, wow, this is so cool. And also, like, because I'm old school, obviously, I probably have kids your age. So it's just like seeing you cover a Michael Jackson hit. I was like, oh, yeah, because for my generation, there's like different generations of Michael. There's the 70s Michael, there's the 80s Michael, there's the 90s, So I was just like, oh, yeah, like that was such a fun era for like Michael Jackson fans too, and he had PYT. So I was like, oh my god, like I just loved it, and I love how like music, of course, is universal, but I love how younger people take it back, to the classics. That's when like you're a student also of music, and you really know music. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's no current music without the past hits. So I just loved it, all of it. So what made you decide to audition for The Voice too?
Ooh, okay. This is a funny, long story, but I'm gonna try to make it long story short. Um, at first, I did not want to audition for The Voice at first, and not for the reasons why you think so. I honestly, you know, you know how we are. Sometimes we're our worst enemies. I thought maybe I'm not even gonna make it. Maybe I'm not, good enough to be on this show. I don't know. It was just a lot going on in my head, and just a lot of self doubt, which I feel like everybody goes through. Um, but thank God I had my dad, which is a really key point in my musical journey in general, you know. And I had him there, and he was like, you know what? No, he was like, still go for it, still audition. Like, don't ever talk yourself out of a blessing or out of fear or out of self doubt. And he was like, just go for it. You never know. He was like, I have a feeling, like, just do it, just do it. And I did it. I sent in my audition, and now we're here. And it honestly feels unreal to, see myself on that The Voice stage and, to see people's reactions and to even hear how you guys feel about the performance and, the way that we did it, we rearranged it. It's actually really beautiful to see. And, there was a point in time I did not see that happening, but we're here and I feel extremely blessed. And I'm glad that I did not let fear get to me, because I could have said no and just
Mhm.
stopped with my dream. But yeah, yeah. That's the whole story behind it.
And that's something else. And I'm happy that you mentioned the self doubt, which of course goes to the imposter syndrome, because just like you said, you did such a beautiful version of it. And then when you first started singing, like that first chair turned super fast. They were like, wait a minute, because it was great. So, but just imagine if you had let the fear get to you, because The Voice so many eyes saw that. So this is going to take you to who knows where. So I just think that's a testament that creatives in general should just pay heed, take heed to. Like sometimes you'll talk yourself out of something in your mind. You'll be like, oh, I don't know about this. When sometimes certain things are like made for you, but self doubt will really talk you out of something, and it'll stop you from having new experiences, making new connections. So I'm happy that you mentioned that, because fear and self doubt, and it's such it's a monster. Like it'll really talk you out of something. And then once you do make that accomplishment, it's like, okay, wow, I'm so happy I did this. So I'm so happy that you were able, to not let that fear stop you, because like I said, it was a great performance, and I'm sure it was a great experience. What made you decide to choose Team Reba?
So the reason why I chose Team Reba is because, listen, Reba is a legend in the industry. First of all, she's been in the game, what I want to say, for just a long time before I was born,
Yeah.
before I who Reba was, and I just feel like it was so much that she could teach me and just take me beyond. And honestly, I like, how Beyonce is doing right now, pushing beyond genres and, just being an artist and just besides the genres, just being an artist, And I feel like that's something that Reba, could have taught me. Just pushing past the genre and the box that people want to put you in, because she even redid If I Were a Boy by Beyonce. And, we know Reba for kind of country, a little bit of pop, but she kind of pushed the barriers with If I Were a Boy, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just feel like it would be so much for her to have taught me, and for me to like just see beyond of what I already kind of know. So that's why I chose Reba. And yeah, that's why I chose her.
What were some of your favorite highlights from your experience on The Voice?
Some of my favorite highlights from being on The Voice. Mm, okay. I want to say definitely the people, like the staff, all the contestants. It was such a great time. Everybody is nice, everybody is talented, everybody is artists. And just learning from different people's stories and experiences, for all of us to take, for all of that to take us, here in that moment, was just awesome to see and to experience. And yeah, just to be in a different area, a different zone, because being on The Voice really did put me in a different zone. Like I had to lock in, okay? Like it's time to work, it's time to get to it. So, just, being able to see myself in that light and push myself in that light as well. It was an awesome, awesome experience. And to know that I can do this was great. So, yeah, it was an awesome experience. And the people, of course, made it that. So yeah.
Awesome. Now, I did see online after the battle rounds, there were some upset people, some people who definitely was Team Elyscia. How did that make you feel to see that you had so many supporters and fans, from that experience? Because I thought that was really cool that a lot of people were upset, like a healthy upset, like, but I was happy that, that people were rooting for you like that they were like, no, like they didn't like the decision. So how did that make you feel?
Honestly, it completely, like, it kind of blew me away, honestly, but also warmed my heart to know there's still people out there that's like, they know this is not the end for you. This is just the start. I have people DMing me and telling me, you are such a star, like keep going, like I see it in you. And that really just encourages me to keep going. It warms my heart to know that there's people out there, willing to give love, and seeing the love that I have in my art and in my passion for music. And it really just warms my heart. That's all I can say. Like I really just love people. I love people. I love when people give love back. And yeah, it just really warms my heart, and encourages me to keep going. when people are just rooting for you and pushing for you. So, yeah.
And I think it's another thing that goes back to, stepping out of your fear to audition, because I think some people don't understand when you go on these talent shows, you don't have to necessarily be the winner. You're gaining fans just on the experience alone, because so many eyes are watching. You never know who is going to tune in. So that's another thing to just encourage people. Hey, if you have a desire to go for American Idol or The Voice, go for it. Don't let the fear get you, and don't beat yourself up too on which part that you leave the show, because you've already gained a new audience. And that's the whole point of it, just to gain those ears, gain those listeners, and be seen. So it can lead to so many different opportunities. So I definitely think, like I said, this is definitely going to be a great thing for you. And you're going to encourage other people, of course, to say, hey, like, because I'm telling you, there's another little brown girl that was watching you, I'm sure. It was like, man, I want to audition, like someone that may really have the great vocal talent, that was sitting at home watching you, and maybe they shook out that fear. Maybe they'll send in their audition tape for the next season. So many different ways, to look at things. That's what people don't realize. There's no such thing as a no or rejection. It's like everything is a move forward. Every single thing, everything works out in all of our favor. So I just thought it's a great experience, and I thought it's just cool that you were on it. So one thing I'm excited to ask you about, so I know you're going to be covering a song from Elvis Presley. Like I said, I personally am an Elvis Presley fan. I'm telling my, she was actually still alive the year I was born. He died the year I was born. So do the math on that one. But like, I love Elvis Presley. So since I grew up in that era, like I said, he died the year I was born. So I grew up where like people would show the marathons on January the 8th on his birthday. So like Elvis was kind of emblazoned in my childhood. So I personally love Elvis Presley. I love the movie that they did on him. So what made you decide to do an Elvis song? Because like I said, I love him. So I thought that was so cool too.
Yes. So the reason why I did that song is because, well, like I've already known about Elvis, and I've heard his classic. Like, who doesn't know Elvis? But the reason why I decided to do the song is because I was invited to sing at this wedding in Dominican Republic, and they asked me to sing "Can't Help Falling in Love." Now, I've heard of the song before, but I never really dived deep into it like how I had to learn it for the wedding, of course. And, just really like learning it and connecting with the song and just hearing how beautiful it was. I really, really fell in love with it. I was like, wow, Elvis, you did your big one on this one. Okay. Like you did your thing, but I really fell in love with that song. And, when I sung it, it was just like, wow. I felt like the people felt it as well. And people were like, yo, this is really good. Like you sounded amazing singing this. And I felt touched. And that's what music is about. It's all about how it makes you feel, how you connect with it. And I just felt like I connected really good with this. So I thought, why not release this again, for my generation that may not know about it. And yeah, just bring it to the forefront, and for something that people my age and, people that grew up on Elvis to connect to, you know? So yeah, that's why I did it. I felt like it would be an amazing, amazing, rendition of it and cover of it. And yeah, release it on Valentine's Day. And yeah, got a little Elvis cover going. So yeah.
That's a good artist to cover for sure. Because, like I said, the newer generation may possibly sleep on Elvis. I'm not sure, but if anything, I'll tell you, if you get a chance, Google Elvis the '68 special. If you haven't seen it, it's like, oh my God, it's amazing. It's all over YouTube. It's on, I think, like Peacock or Paramount Plus. There's even a documentary on it. But if you watch the Elvis '68 special, it's like insane. Just, I can't say enough. Like, it's just, to this day, like I love watching the Elvis '68 special because it just shows how like smooth he was too, So like I said, I love Elvis, so that's a personal thing for me. I love Elvis Presley. So I always tell people if they don't know about Elvis, I'm like, watch the 68 special. It tells you everything you need to know about Elvis. If you want to get a feel of him, it's to watch that 68 special. So I wanted to ask you too, like, of course, there's a big talk with the Cowboy Carter album and everything. You know, some people were like, oh, Beyonce's doing, country music. And what does it mean for you? Because again, like we talked about that, I feel like a lot of times people lump Black artists in one genre. So when someone goes outside the expected genre, and I think especially maybe since she's a woman of color too, people kind of put extra like, analyzing things in a negative way sometimes, especially in that genre that she jumped into. So what are your thoughts on thinking outside of the box? Like it's okay to go outside of different genres. And like I said, you being a young person, you covered an Elvis Presley song, which is great. So what's your thoughts on just stepping outside of different genres?
I definitely believe, like, well, first of all the props to Beyonce. Like, first of all, think about it. She's the main spotlight, literally eyes on her, pressure on her, no matter what she does, because she's like at the top, of everything. And I feel like, especially as a Black woman, you have all this pressure on you to be perfect, to be, don't do too much, but you got to do, a little bit more. So it's so much into it. I just feel like, yeah, I feel like it's hard stepping outside of your box, but you kind of have to go against the rules to kind of make new rules and make your own rules. There's a lot of things that people will not expect. Nobody expected Beyonce to make a country album. That was very like, whoa, what's happening here? And there's definitely haters out there still that's like, Beyonce ain't country, even though it's very country. But she had to step out of her own lane to kind of, make her own rules. She had to come out the blue with that. And I feel like that's kind of just what I'm even inspired to do from seeing her do that. Just kind of stepping out of my own box. And even with selecting Reba, everybody was like, why didn't she go with Chance? Or like, it's stepping out of your box to show people I am who I am. I know what I want, and you can't tell me who I'm supposed to be. It's a lot of times when you're stepping outside of your box or you're in a box, it's because it's what people think you are and what they say you are. But you don't have to be defined by what people tell you you are. So, yeah, 100%. I feel like stepping outside of your box is things that you have to do. A lot of the times I could be labeled as R&B, but maybe I don't feel like I'm R&B. Maybe I feel like I'm pop, and I feel like I can also do a little bit of country, and I feel like I can do this, and that. So it's all up to you. It's your world. That's how I feel. And all props to Beyonce, because I feel like she's making it her world, no matter what the critics and the magazines and everybody is saying. So it's truly inspiring. Yeah.
Right. Definitely. And I think you're right. I just feel like in general, people like to lump people in different boxes. No
Hmm.
matter what you're trying to work on, they just want to shove you in one box. And if you step out of it, you just take a pinky toe out of it, break people are up in arms about it. But again, I just think it's good for people to just try something different. Like, why not? Like, why not? Especially when it comes to music, I think that's the whole purpose. I feel like is to try different things, just anything that extends your range. I think is always a good thing. So I want to ask you too, being a young artist, what advice would you have for other people who want to follow their dreams, and like for several things, like you said, sometimes people may have fear on just even stepping outside of the box. Some people may have fear on what genre they fit into. Some people just may have fear on just taking risk and taking chance, or even fear on what type of music to cover, what songs, there may be some songs that they really like, but they may be even afraid to perform them because they're like, oh, well, people may not understand, why I like this song or why I'm singing it. So what advice would you have for like some young aspiring artists like yourself who may be struggling or just need some words of inspiration to go for it? What advice would you have for them?
My advice to all young artists, all people that's chasing a dream, people that have an idea. Honestly, my advice would be keep going at it. Do everything that would elevate that dream, that would bring it to the forefront. And just stay encouraged. It's very easy to be discouraged, and there's going to be a lot of haters and a lot of people. When I was first starting out, people were telling me I couldn't sing, and there was definitely a lot of haters, a lot of doubters, but I used that as encouragement, and I kept pushing. I said I'm going to show these people wrong one day, and I just kept going. So honestly, my words would be keep going, defy the odds, um, and believe in yourself. Truly believe in yourself. Like, you have to be delusional. Sometimes you got to tell yourself, listen, I'm great. I'm amazing. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be at this place. I'm going to be in this country. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. And watch it happen. Your dreams will become reality if you put in the work, if you believe in yourself, and yeah, just be delusional. Be delusional a little bit. Manifest it.
Yes.
And yeah, believe in yourself, love yourself, be kind to yourself, and keep pushing, do the work, put in the work, and it'll all come. I promise it will all come. It's gonna have to show up if you put in the work. But yeah.
Yes to all of that. You have to manifest it. You do have to be delusional sometimes. Your dreams, like they say, your dreams have to scare you. If they don't scare you, you're not thinking big enough. You know what I'm
It
saying? It's supposed to scare you. You're supposed to look at it like, really, can I really do that? Like, yeah, yes you can, but you don't think small. Don't dream small, dream in color. So I definitely feel you on all of that. So speaking of loving yourself, one of the main things on the Go Queen platform is self-love. Self-love really is the fuel to step out of fear. Just like you stepped out of fear to audition for the show, like you're not afraid to cross different genres. So self-love, from our perspective, is really the fuel to being delusional, having those big dreams and actually going for it. So, how do you define self love? And what role has self love played in your life and also played, in the career that you're growing?
So how I define self love. I mean, honestly, I'm still figuring it out. Like, I'm there, but how I define self love would be just being kind to yourself, speaking kindly to yourself. Whether you have to go in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you today, like, you look beautiful today. You should be proud of yourself for all your accomplishments, because a lot of times in life we get caught up in just what's going on around us and just every day to day life. It ain't easy, So sometimes you can get caught up in just, not really seeing the full potential of yourself and just how good you really are. And for me, growing up, like, I wasn't very, like, I, a lot of people weren't too kind. So for me, it was kind of harder. Like, am I actually good enough? And, looking for validation in certain things, which is another reason why I was like, I don't know if I should audition for The Voice, because of, that self love wasn't there yet. And yeah, definitely, like, just showing up for myself and being kind to myself. I cannot say that enough. It's really just being kind to myself and treating myself and not beating myself up for the littlest things, and giving myself a pat on the back, a little clap to myself. You did this and you did that and you got through it. So yeah, that would be my thing on self love. Just being kind to myself and treating myself when I need it. Definitely like to some ice cream or getting my nails done or a little massage. Sometimes you need that too. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned too. I think sometimes for people who may have struggled, like you said, with loving themselves, sometimes it's because, as you said, sometimes not everybody is kind to you, especially when you have a dream. Because having a big dream also makes you different. You know, it puts you outside of the box. And sometimes people don't know how to handle that. And I think talented people, gifted people, I think are just naturally, sometimes they're in circles where it's like you don't necessarily fit in sometimes. And it's like, man, like nobody really gets this. Nobody understands me. Or
Yeah.
sometimes I feel when people feel something special in you, it doesn't actually bring a bunch of happy people that's surrounding you. Sometimes it brings ugly people sometimes because they do see something different in you. They do see that you're special actually. And it sometimes brings, it's hard to understand, but it sometimes brings people that's like, wait a minute, like these people aren't, like you said, they aren't that nice sometimes. And that also leads to self-doubt, and that self-doubt will really halt somebody's dreams when in actuality they are very talented, they are gifted, they are special. So I'm happy that you touched on that, because there may be people who are struggling who really are gifted, they're talented, they have something special in them, but they have all these outside voices, that outside noise that could stop their dream. And like you can't let those outside elements get to you. So it is important to do whatever you can and drown it out, and seek self-validation. Don't seek validation from the world, because seeking worldly validation is what halts those dreams, so when you're special and you have a talent, you have to really truly learn to love yourself. Like, you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself more than the people who you're expecting to receive love from that may not have given it to you in the way that you want it. You know what I'm saying? In order to get that dream. So I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because again, there's people that's really struggling, but they're really special, but they just have the wrong elements around them. And sometimes it can't be helped. Like if you're in school or something, you're stuck with these people for a little bit. So it could get to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit it right on the nose. Like just growing up feeling different, and just very set apart and wondering, why am I not fitting in with these people? Like, is it me? Why don't they like me? But like still chasing that dream and still telling myself, nah, like still go for it. And and like you said, that may be why. So yes, yes, yes. We learn it. We
Oh
learn
yeah.
this.
Definitely. So this has been like an amazing conversation, but I want to ask you, what's next? What can we see Elyscia next? What can we expect? When is that EP dropping? What's next for you?
Yes. So what's next is definitely music. Like stay tuned for the new music. EP, you said it. That's so funny that you said it. I was trying to keep it on the low key, but like EP is definitely coming. I feel like that's been something that I've been wanting to release for a while now. So now that there's like new people ready to listen and ready to kind of see into my life a little bit, stay tuned for an EP, stay tuned for singles. And I'm really just ready to release my emotions, to release my life story, release things through my music. So stay tuned because people are going to be seeing a new side of myself. Stay tuned for performances, um, collabs. It's just a lot of things, a lot of ideas in the works that I want to put out to the world. So all that is coming. Stay tuned, y'all. Subscribe to my YouTube, Elyscia Jefferson. Check out my music on all platforms. And yeah, y'all, this is just the beginning. I'm telling y'all, I'm giving myself that much that I feel like just the start, just the beginning. And we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to where we want to be, those big dreams. So yeah, yeah.
Are there any dream producers or songwriters that you want to work with? Or artists that you want to work with?
Ooh, okay. Ah, of course, Brandy. That's like a dream of mine. Definitely Beyonce. Who doesn't want to work with Beyonce? Um,
Right.
Lucky Day. He's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. I mean, like, yeah. Victoria Monet, Megan Thee Stallion, okay, and Doja Cat, and some other people in that category, and Seven Streeter. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Oh, and one more, James Fauntleroy. A lot of
Okay.
people, you know, may not know about him, but James Follower.
Okay. Well, I know like you can make it happen. Like I said, you're very talented, so I don't doubt that you will have the tools to meet these people and link up with them. So I'm very excited to see the future for you because, like I said, you won me over singing PYTs and then throwing in the Elvis. So like definitely, I love everything that you're doing. Again, this has been a great conversation, and I'm just happy that like you touched on so many different things, stepping outside of the box, loving yourself, not letting the outside noise get to you, also working past your fears. And that's one thing that, I hope people who tune into this, whatever dream that you have, you really have to just be consistent and stick with it. Don't let the outside noise get to you. You have to believe in yourself because all it takes is that one person to watch, or that one person to listen, or that one person to try out whatever it is that you're doing. So just always be consistent and believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Like I can't stress it enough. Like you have to believe in yourself because believing in yourself will have you stepping outside of that box, and not having any fear because you really have to have no fear when it comes to executing those dreams. You're worthy, you deserve it, and your dreams, people want to see what you have going on, and just don't let that no stop you. Like just keep going. So again, thank you so much, Miss Elyscia Jefferson. This has been a great opportunity to speak with you. And guys, go back if you haven't seen her episodes on The Voice. Go back and check it out online. Check out those past episodes. You can catch a great cover of PYT and definitely follow her on YouTube. But before we go, also tell people how they can follow you on social media as well.
So you all can follow me at ELYSCIA_sings, and that's on all platforms. I'm gonna say it one more time, y'all. ELYSCIA_sings. And yes, you can find me on all platforms with that name. And also on YouTube, Elyscia Jefferson, y'all.
Awesome. Well, you guys make sure you follow Elyscia and make sure you give her support. And also, anybody else that you know with a dream, make sure you pour into them and give them that support because we all need that encouragement to make those dreams happen. So, thank you guys for tuning in to the Q Chat. You can catch this episode and more at www.goqueen.com. And also, again, make sure you check out our digital version of the magazine and you can read the current article on Elyscia, and we'll also be featuring her in our future print edition. So again, go to www.goqueen.com to learn more. Thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure no matter what you do, believe in yourself and go love yourself.
She's a queen.